The Office of the Prime Minister Press Office is the primary liaison between the Fourth Estate and the Office of the Prime Minister and Cabinet.
Every day, we are working to build a more inclusive economy and a stronger, safer country.
Hear all of the latest developments as the Davis administration carries out the broad mandate of progress and change. Our live weekly press briefings provide full access to current newsmakers on the most topical issues of the day. We facilitate prompt responses from cabinet ministers on the latest reports and get answers on the issues that matter to you.
Will any penalties be levied against the
OPM Press Now, keeping you in the know. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Office of the Prime Minister's weekly press briefing, and welcome to the Office of the Prime Minister. We have a full house today, and I feel so energized seeing all of the representatives here from the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture. And of course, they'll be talking Youth Month coming up in just a short time. We're happy to welcome the Minister with responsibility for Youth, Sports and Culture, the Honorable Mario Bowleg, and his team. We're also happy to welcome Senator the Honorable Michael Halkitis, who will be discussing some of the matters related to one of the latest economic reports issued, and of course, take your questions on that report, what it means and what it does not mean. We are going to start things off right now with the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, Mr. Mario Bowleg, on the events surrounding Youth Month, which have kicked off already. Welcome, Minister.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'm happy to be here today to celebrate one of the most exciting months within the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, which is Youth Month, where we celebrate our darlings and most precious assets within the country, our youths. And so I wouldn't be before you too long, but to call my director, Ms. Sandina Neely, who will speak about in the short order about the plans we have throughout the length and breadth of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, not just New Providence as it relates to youth activities. But let me just say in a short 3 years, I am a very proud minister of my team on the success we would have made over the past 3 years as it relates to the promise we would have made to the Bahamian people as it relates to the blueprint of change. We will be talking about youth in parliament, something that we had in our blueprint that we will be speaking about the launch of youth parliament, which is coming on November 8th of this year, which youth parliament will be young people discussing the issues, the real and true issues of youth that are affecting them, and we will be using their debates and the information that they will provide the nation as a real source of how we could build a gap from the past, the present, and the future. When we also look at the Be Inspired program that was shut down for 4 years, the relaunch of that, where we would have given many young persons who are either current business owners or want to be business owners, entrepreneurs, grants to ensure that we empower our young people inside the nation. I also want to look at sailing, sloop sailing. We promised to make that the national sports. We're happy that that has been named the national sports. I look at the National Youth Guard, another in the blueprint for change that we promised that has already been launched and has been successful, where young people are now trained to respond to disaster response and recovery here in the Bahamas. While one or two of these events are no longer with the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, we are proud to be the ministry that would have launched these events. And so to speak more about the activities of this upcoming month, I now introduce Sandina Neely, head of the Youth Division of Youth.
Thank you so much, Minister. We are always excited to be here at the OPM for our press briefing. Thank you, Minister, for giving us this wonderful opportunity just to talk about, to highlight, and to showcase all that is good with our young people in our country. And we cannot do that without building a bridge from the past to the present and extending into the future. So many of you would have seen on yesterday that we highlighted our patron for this year's National Youth Month, who is Chief Scout, Mr. Alexander Gibson. Let's hear it for Mr. Gibson. He is days away from his 86th birthday, and if you see him, you would not believe it. He is the longest-serving Chief Scout Commissioner that we have in our country, and we are so honored to be able to celebrate him in this way. Later this month, on the 26th of October, an official campsite will be named in his honor, and we are so very proud of him. We always honor those who have gone on before us, and so the late Reverend Marina Sands, who was the pastor of Judea Baptist Church, pioneered so many initiatives and activities in youth development over the years, and so she is our posthumous patron. Let's hear it up for Reverend Sands. As I think you can see, our theme for this year's National Youth Month is so fitting: homecoming. Let's make more memories. And so my team and I decided that we want to build a bridge. We just really flexing our muscles and getting our sea legs again out of COVID. So we want to welcome all of those who have been affiliated with our ministry over the years to come back home. So throughout all of our events and activities, you will see persons from the past, persons who are in the present, and as you'll soon see, we have those who are the future, who will be linking arm in arm to showcase what all the brilliance that we have here in our country. And so we are excited for that. And now to get to our calendar of events. We have a very robust calendar, as you can see. And if you have not already had an opportunity, we would like for you to follow us on Facebook. That is our main source. We know that Facebook is not really something that is popular amongst a lot of young people, but they still have Facebook so that they can keep in touch. And that's where you can find our calendar of events and activities. And so we are so excited to be launching our services this weekend. We'll be with the Seventh-day Adventists at Hillview on this coming Saturday at 11 a.m. And then we will be at Legacy Church with Pastor Rosemary Pena at 10:30 a.m. And then in a very, very special showcase. It is an invitation-only event, so you'll have to look forward to seeing all of the highlights on the news and in the newspapers. Our brand new cohort of 14 youth ambassadors are going to be installed on Monday. You've already seen some of them highlighted on the news and in the newspapers, and you can look forward to seeing more from them. They're going to be representing our country locally, nationally, regionally, and globally, with CARICOM, the Commonwealth, United Nations, and so many other organizations. And then the all-exciting National Youth March is taking place on October 13th. We have used the University of the Bahamas as our hub for this year. So we kick off from UB at 2 p.m. on the 13th, and we're looking forward to seeing all of our friends, partners, guests, everybody. Our patron will be there, so we want you to be sure to wave to him as you see him on the streets of the capital. On the 19th of October, we have the Chick Charney Cheering Challenge that is back, and we are excited that we have a partner this year, OKX Bahamas FinTech Company Limited. Let's give it up for them. They have come on to provide sponsorship for this event. So if you think you have what it takes, please go to our Facebook page, sign up for this event. I'm very sure that the cadets and the Rangers are looking to come out on top again, so let's see who is going to be victorious in this quest. We also have one of our marquee events, which is the National Youth Awards. That's happening on Tuesday, October 29th at Evangelistic Temple. And this year, we are also having our nominee medal presentation ceremony as a part of this event. So that starts at 6:30 with our red carpet. You're going to see all of our nominees, and we'll see who's going to emerge as the winner. We have so many different categories of awardees, whether you're excelling in education, sports, arts and culture, and so many others. You have just a few more days to submit your nominations. Again, you can go to our Facebook page and be able to see what all of the selections are so that you can get your nominations in. And this year, National Youth Month extends beyond October. We have events also in November. So from the 4th to the 8th of November, internationally will be celebrated Youth Work Week. And so for this week, on the 7th, we have our Youth Leaders Hall of Excellence program that's going to have the induction ceremony. We pioneered this last year, and we were excited to induct 5 youth leaders into that hall. And so we have that presentation again this year. And then on the 8th, as our minister alluded to, the 8th of November, Friday the 8th, mark your calendars. Set your schedules, because Rawson Square and Parliament Squares are going to be closed down because we are having an opening of National Youth Parliament. What makes this parliament so special is that these young people who take the halls that day are going to be serving for a 2-year term. There will be 39 of them in a National Youth Assembly and 16 in the Youth in Senate. They will be serving for a 2-year term, and we have a guest who is going to speak about that in just a moment. Then we are rounding out on November 9th, Saturday, November 9th, with a Youth Talent Jam again. You can go to our Facebook page, or you can scan the QR code on the flyer so that you can send in your videos and you can come down to UB on the 9th of November so that you can showcase your talent. We also have so many events and activities happening in Grand Bahama and throughout the Family Islands. All of the calendars, I suppose, are being shown behind me. I don't want to turn my head, but you can see the calendars from Grand Bahama. I think we have Abaco. Morris Island is not to be left out. They have sent in their calendar as well, and there are a few other calendars. You can be sure to check our Facebook page so that you can see what all is happening throughout the Family Islands. We also have a cadre of partner events. They are listed on our calendar, and we will be sharing their flyers so that you can see, so that you can join us at some of these partner events. There are so very many of them. And so at this time, we want to invite one of the young people. This is a youth-led initiative. We have Mr. Ryan Munnings, who is one of the chairs of the National Youth Parliament Steering Committee, who is going to come and share a few words, and then I'll be right back.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome and happy Youth Month. It is a tremendous honor to stand before you today as we celebrate the start of Youth Month and commemorate an extraordinary milestone, the 25th anniversary of the Youth Parliament program. For a quarter of a century, this initiative has provided young Bahamians with a unique platform to step into the roles of national leadership, offering them the opportunity to debate, share ideas, and help shape the future of our nation. This year, we are making a historic leap forward. For the first time in the program's 25-year history, Youth Parliament will no longer be a single day of debate. Instead, our youth representatives will serve for a full 2-year tenure. This bold change allows them to contribute to their communities and the nation at a much deeper and more sustained level. This expansion is monumental. It shifts the focus from merely sharing ideas to actively implementing them. Over the next 2 years, these young representatives will not only engage in policy discussions, but also work on meaningful projects and collaborate with their constituencies to create real, impactful change. The extra time provides invaluable experience in governance, leadership, and service, ensuring that our young leaders are fully equipped to play an integral role in shaping the Bahamas. The shift reflects our government's firm belief that the youth of the Bahamas deserve a seat at the table at all levels of governance. We will ensure that the youth representatives serve on boards, committees, and throughout our government system. The Youth Parliament, now more meaningful than ever, will center on an agenda focused on issues facing the youth of the nation. Resolutions passed here will be actively considered in the formulation of public policy. We are committed to making sure that the voices of the youth are not just heard, but are empowered to lead. As we embark on this exciting new chapter in youth governance, I am confident that the passion, energy, and vision of our youth representatives will help to shape the Bahamas of tomorrow. Their contributions over the next 2 years will undoubtedly leave a lasting impact on our nation. We are committed to fostering an environment where our youth are not only encouraged to speak out, but are given the tools and the time to effect meaningful change. To our youth representatives, I challenge you to seize this opportunity. You have been given the chance to influence not just discussions, but the future of our nation. Your time is now, and we look forward to seeing the incredible difference you will make. Let us all continue to support and encourage them. Once again, thank you and happy Youth Month.
Can you feel that? Did you hear it? Let's hear it for Ryan Munnings. That is just but a taste of what you can expect in our first inaugural national sitting of our youth in Parliament. Let's give it up one more time for Mr. Munnings. And as we indicated, we exist on partnerships. And so we want to now highlight a very, very special partner. We have a youth entrepreneur who is here, and we want to highlight them. The company Donkey Cone is here, and Ms. Rhodesia Miller will come and share what their business is all about. Let's give it up for her.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Rhodesia Miller. I am daughter of Rodney Miller, boat captain, and Lamantha Miller, ex-Defense Force officer. Donkey Cone started in 2002 as just Donkey Cone. They were just a couple of two people who just fell in love selling ice cream or a tuck shop just for fun. 2 years later, I came along and they came up with the idea to make them sell their own ice creams. All our ice creams are natural preservative, no added sugar, 0 sugar in our ice cream. And I say that we sell all natural ice creams. Like I say, soursop is one of our favorite ice creams. Eggnog is one of our favorite. Each and every one of these ice creams are all homemade. Where you could find us is we have our shop at 260 East Street, and we also have our stationary vehicle by Lou Generals. I know many of your faces. I seen y'all come and get our ice cream. I know that for sure. We want to just bring ice cream taste and joy. No extra. You know, people say they have diabetes, right? You know, they don't want to eat the ice cream because they don't want to rise their high blood sugar. When I say our ice cream is safe from all of that, it's very safe. I am next in line to, sorry guys, I'm really nervous. I am next in line to own the business of Donkey Cone, and I just want y'all seeing my face. I am the new business leader. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Youth in action. Let's give it up for Rhodesia. I'm looking forward to tasting the samples that she has here today. And so we are just very honored and very excited to be able, like we indicated, to partner with so many persons. So please take an opportunity to look at our calendar, survey the calendar, and decide which events you want to participate in because it's homecoming. And so we want to thank our minister. Again, we want to thank our permanent secretary. And let's give it up for the team from the Division of Youth. We are excited to have our assistant director is here with us, Mr. Rashad Ritchie, all of our youth officers, all of our technical staff, and we are favored with the presence of the co-chairperson of our National Youth Advisory Council in the person of Reverend Dino Cartwright. We are excited again for National Youth Month. And so at this time, if you have questions for the minister, myself, or any of the presenters, we are also excited to have our permanent secretary here with us, Mrs. Rosalind Dorset Horton. Yes. We also have our undersecretary who could not be here with us, Dr. Bridget Roll, and the exciting team at the entire ministry who knows that everything happens in youth. That's exciting. Yes. So at this time, we'll take any questions that you may have for us. Thank you so very much.
That means everything was very clearly well explained. And I just want to say how encouraging it is to see the Ministry of Youth here in full force, to hear from the youth ambassador, to hear from the young entrepreneur. It's a side of youth that we want to spread and be contagious. So thank you again for being here, and thank you for what you do. Thank you, Minister. Okay, we're going to move on now to some economic-related news. We're pleased to be joined by Senator Michael Halkitis, Minister of Economic Affairs. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Is it afternoon? No, it's morning. Morning, everybody. It's just a pleasure to be here once again, and I want to congratulate the minister and his team for the fabulous work and all the team that they're doing with the National Youth Month. I think a lot of news has come out, and so I'm just basically making myself available for any questions you might have. Recently, we had the affirmation of our credit rating by the Standard & Poor's, which we thought was a very, very encouraging report, taking note of the progress we've made so far during this administration in terms of fiscal management and deficit reduction. Some of you had been interested in the port strike that's going on in the U.S. East Coast and as well the Gulf Coast, and the potential impact that it might have on us. It is something that we are watching. Our view is that if there can be a resolution in the short term, the impact will be minimal, but of course we are concerned about, and I think they are in the U.S. as well, any long-term dragging out of this impasse. And so we are hopeful that that is resolved quickly. They are talking. So far, we believe that if this is resolved within, let's say, a month, there would be minimal impact on us, but of course it's something that we continue to observe. We just recently completed the first quarter of our fiscal year. We're still gathering numbers as to the performance, but we remain generally positive in terms of our projections and how we will be doing in terms of revenue and expenditure for this first quarter. And so let me just open with that, and just any questions you might have on any of those matters or any other matter touching finance or economic affairs.
Minister, you mentioned just now that the government is hopeful that this situation with the port in the ports in the U.S. would hopefully wrap up soon, like within a month. What happens if that doesn't happen? Is there a contingency plan in place? What impact would this have on us, considering that we rely heavily on importing food and other items to the Bahamas? What would be the position would this put us in?
Our advice in speaking with the port people here, the shippers and those in charge of the port, is that the vast majority of what is imported in the Bahamas does not come from the unionized port, so it's not impacted. They gave us some percentage. You would have seen some of the food importers in the press as well saying that they don't expect a tremendous impact on them. But we always have to be aware of potential risks of contagion and anything spreading and any impact. Sadly, there is not much you can do in terms of contingency. There's always a possibility, if if our imports begin to be impacted, of diverting to alternative routes. But of course, that will entail additional costs in terms of transportation. So my view is that I think the political administration in the U.S., as well as the business owners, the shippers, et cetera, and as well the unions, recognize the potential severity of a protracted disruption. And so I believe that they are continuing to work to try and resolve that issue.
So is there a mitigation strategy in the event it goes on for a long period? And you also mentioned a cost increase should we have to divert.
All right.
Does this mean rising
Let
costs?
me say, don't panic, all right? The first thing I said was, according to our discussions with the shippers and the port, the vast majority of the goods that come into the country are not impacted. They don't come through these unionized ports, all right? So that gives us a bit of insurance right there. I said further that, you always have to look at, in the eventuality, worst comes to worst. I don't foresee any shortage, but there is the possibility, if we're talking months and months, and you do have to divert, yes, you definitely will be looking at increased costs. But in the short term, as I said to the press before, you don't want to create the impression that there will be shortages which would cause people to hoard, and then which will lead to shortages, all right? And like I said, I believe that I know that the administration in the U.S. sees the potential negative impact of any protracted disruption, and so they're working hard to get it sorted out. But it goes to show too, that when we talk about things like food security and producing more that we consume, how important it is. It's not an abstract discussion. It's very, very important. That's a long-term solution for us, but it's something that we need to ensure that we pay attention to. Yes.
We know that government recently approved the gas margin increase
Yes.
for gas retailers. We saw in the papers that it went into effect on
October 1st.
Leader of the opposition, Michael Pintar, has gone on record a few times to say that he believes that government should have absorbed that cost rather than increase the margins. What's your response to that?
My response to that is this. The government gets its revenue, and when I say government, not the PLP or not Michael Halkitis and not the Ministry of Finance, the government of the Bahamas, which is the people of the Bahamas. The government of the Bahamas, acting for the people of the Bahamas, gets its revenue from taxes and fees and from borrowing. All right? If you're not getting your revenue from the fees and the taxes that you collect, you have to borrow more money, and that has consequences because you have to pay money back, you have to pay interest on it, and that's additional expense. And then what you do is you come back to the people of the Bahamas for more taxes. This issue has been a protracted one, and I'm sure all of you now are tired of asking me about when we're going to give the increase. And I say this. I've always said that the government of the Bahamas was sympathetic to the plight of those Bahamian entrepreneurs, the increased costs and the fact that they have been operating under a fixed margin. In fact, we met them halfway about a year and a half ago when we offered them some incentive, which they appreciated in terms of giving them some direct, immediate relief. When we talk about, and as well, every time the question was asked of me, every week for the last 2 years, I said that our position was we are sympathetic, but we were reluctant to give an increase in a margin that would lead to the increase in the price of gas at the pump for people who have to drive to work every day, take their children to school, bus drivers, fishermen, all of that. That was what informed our delay, for want of a better term, of implementing the increase. Coupled with that was the general inflationary environment where back in 22, we had inflation in the area of almost 6% in the country. And so our view was we did not want to give a margin increase in that environment that would just add another cost to the high cost of living. Since then, we have seen gas prices come down internationally, and we have also seen the general level of inflation come down. And so we felt that bearing in mind, looking at the plight of the retailers, and as well, our concern about, increasing the price, this was the appropriate time to do it. We think that we will see a continued sort of downward trend in the price of gasoline. I think today in the paper it was like they're between $5.35 and $5.45 or $5.49 a gallon. Whereas, a year ago, we were looking at high fives, like even, I think it got over $6. And so, in addition to that, when you talk about 25 cents margin increase per gallon, you're looking at roughly, when they ran the numbers and run them by us, they said, the average person, it would be about $1, a little over $1 extra a week. And so, as I said, over the last 2 years, every time the question was asked, there were no easy choices. But we felt that it was a timing issue and this is the right time to do it. As a response to, I didn't hear Mr. Pintard, but you said the government should have absorbed it. That is, like I said, the government, has its tax base. The government has responsibilities in terms of expenditure and services that it needs to provide. And you cannot, erode your tax base and expect not to have those services impacted. So if you don't have money, you can't provide the services. It's an easy way to try and sit on the fence and play both sides and say, yeah, give it to them, but government absorbs it, but it affects us all. You reduce it in one way, you have to make it up in the next way. We think it's a It's a good solution. It has been done. I think nobody likes to pay more, but I think given those choices in terms of being able to bring relief to those retailers who impact so many people and as well minimize the impact on the public, I think it was the decision to do it at this time was the right one. That was a long answer, I answer you. No, but what I'm saying is, Mr. Pintado obviously is trying to play both sides by saying, yeah, give it to them, but don't impact the people. And that is the issue that we have been grappling. And, theoretically in opposition, you can say those things, but in government, when you actually have to implement, you have to take all those things in consideration and try and come up with the best solution, which we think we've done.
Also, I don't know if you're able to answer this, but also what was in the paper, I was thinking this talk in the Guardian was the central bank is starting consultation on these banking regulations. And then recall it says 30-day minimum to contact customers about these various fees. And I think 60 days to give the central bank all the various scheduled fees. Is this the happy medium that the government wants to help with the financial sector but also satisfy customers?
Let me say that, the central bank is responsible for the regulation of the banks, and they're independent in that function. The government doesn't direct that. We are interested in making sure that there are banking services and they're affordable, et cetera. We will, and I think we've said, I've gone on record, and I think the Prime Minister as well, that we want to see accessible, affordable banking services throughout the country for people. Now, obviously the central bank has heard the hue and cry about rising bank fees and the diminution of services. And this is their attempt to do that. We will watch it, and we'll continue to listen to the public. And we are supportive of anything that gives better service at a lower cost. So obviously they've started their consultation period. We'll be observing, and we'll have our input, and something we continue to work on and observe.
I think those regulations will affect the industry. Any predictions?
No, I don't want to get into that. When you start the consultation, you get feedback from the public, you get it from the industry, and again, it's another one of those things where you have to try and come to a medium. I think we've gone on record as well as saying that acknowledging, and we've all seen in the press from time to time, because some of these companies are public, they publish their profits, and a lot of it is made here. And, Bahamians, I think rightfully should demand good, convenient service at a low cost. And so we're also interested in that. And, it's high on the agenda for the PM. He's made a lot of comments about he's met with the clearing banks, and so that's something we'll continue to watch. There's a balance between letting businesses do business and compete, but banking services is a fundamental right, I believe, and so we have to make sure it's affordable and available.
Mr. Arquillas, can you clarify the deed of gift regulations? I noticed on the Department of Inland Revenue that they're saying that people can still have exemptions under the deed of gift. And I called several lawyers, and they said that that's being washed away as of July 1.
It's not being washed away. There are some changes to it. That in terms of who you can give a deed of gift to, I think our view is to make sure that it's not so wide that it's abused. So you're not, giving a gift to a fifth cousin and getting the exemption, And so what any changes that have been made was to really clarify the situation and make sure and streamline who can be deeded a gift. I don't know all of the. I can't list all of the sort of eligible, but it's like children, grandchildren, et cetera. It doesn't extend to wide family because, we're all related. So it's not being washed away, it's just being clarified and tightened.
Minister, I think you mentioned...
let me let this lady first, because you already had two. Cool.
Yes, you were saying yesterday that the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association issued a travel advisory against the Bahamas due to the increase in airport fees in the Islands. Do you have any concerns as to how this advisory would affect?
I didn't see that, and I doubt it's a sort of aircraft owners association. I think it might be a very small focus group of particular individuals who have a particular issue, but it's not, you know, I don't think it's called the Aircraft Owners Association. That would involve any broad spectrum of owners. Eh? I think it's a very small, narrow group. But I'll say this. Having said that, the government of Bahamas is investing hundreds of millions of dollars. We've done it over the years, hundreds of millions of dollars in improving airport infrastructure throughout our family islands for safety, to improve airlift, to promote those economies in those islands, hundreds of millions of dollars. As you know, with our international airports, we have to maintain certain levels of security so that we can pass the Federal Aviation, the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration tests and standards. We have to meet those. And so we believe it's not unreasonable to say to individuals who own private aircraft, i.e. who own their own planes, that they should, when the government of the Bahamas seeks to amend fees that have been in existence in some and gone unchanged, in some cases 30, 40, 50 years, if we seek to amend those fees for people who own their own private aircraft, who fly their private aircraft into these airports, that we're investing, you, the Bahamian taxpayer, investing hundreds of millions of dollars to upgrade, we don't think it's unreasonable for them to pay a reasonable fee to use it. And so, let me leave that like that. So we don't think it's unreasonable. I personally, of course, when people, they're visiting our country and they're contributing in some way, they have a concern, we listen. We don't cut them off, we listen, but we believe that our actions in terms of those adjustments that we made for private aircraft, people who own their own planes and fly them into our country, they're reasonable.
I know you spoke, I think.
Sorry, Bethany, sorry. Bethany, you yield?
Thank you. Oh, no.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask about the S&P report. I know they mentioned that the Bahamas' financial profile is weakened. And I know that's a position that the government doesn't necessarily agree with, because I think you've already said that.
It's a timeline thing, right? I brought it. Let me just read it, right? In their overview, they say, the Bahamas' robust recovery over the past 2 years has helped reduce the fiscal deficit containing the sovereign's debt burden. When they say the sovereign, that means us. So we've reduced the deficit and contained our debt burden. We expect growth to slow this year as the U.S., the primary market, heads for a soft landing, though successful execution of its new energy policy reforms, talking about the Bahamas, could support medium-term growth. Recognize that the cost of electricity is a tremendous problem for businesses and individuals. They say we reaffirmed our B+ long-term foreign and local currency sovereign credit rating on the Bahamas, and the stable outlook indicates that a stable economy will support positive fiscal results, that's good financial results, and slow the growth in debt, which is our objective, slow down the rate of growth. That is what they said. When they speak about weakening the profile, they're talking about a longer time frame. You would recall that back in 2021, our debt to GDP had gotten up to about 100%, the rate. And so they're talking about a gradual increase in the amount of debt up to that time. We're now seeing it come down from 100 to now mid-70s. And so that is the profile they're talking about. And so when they affirmed our rating and keep us at a B+, part of what the two reasons they use, they say they expect the growth in our economy to slow. Well, we expected that as well, because we had 2 very, very good years, double digits after COVID-19, coming right out of COVID-19, and we recognize that it'll now slow towards normal, what we call more normal levels going forward, which we think it's very positive. They say 1.8, we think it's more like 2.5%, 3%. All right, and the second thing is they look at the amount of our debt compared to other countries who have the same rating. And unfortunately, ours is high. It's still at 78 or so. It's still high. Even though it's come down from near 100, it's still high. That's why we continue to work to bring it down. And so that is what they're talking about. But in terms of the last 2 years, they recognize right off the bat the tremendous work that has been done. And so that is why I always say, you know, we're encouraged and we're happy with the result, but we recognize there's a lot more work to be done.
Has the government implemented any added measures to reduce inflation? I know we've seen inflation decline, but has there been any added measures implemented to
We continue. We have something that you've not seen the benefit of yet. We have a working group that has been established in the Office of the Prime Minister to look at trade facilitation. How does the movement of goods, how can we improve it? You know, how can we make our operations at our facilities more efficient to reduce costs? And so we're looking at it like that. We're looking at the whole structure of trade. It's a more long-term thing. But in the short term, it's very difficult to impact, you know, given the fact that we import so much. You remember that back in, I think it was 2022, late 2022, when we did we expanded the price control, and then we also did the price control on the pharmaceutical drugs, that I had a very good time with you as well on that. And we did that as a temporary measure. But, you know, it's very difficult to do those things. We're looking at more duty decreases on goods that we are importing. You know, we do it every year during the budget, and we're looking to see what we can do. We're actively now looking to see what we can do even at the midterm.
The PM saying there needs to be a review of the public salaries in the public sector. Can you say whether that has been done? Or
it's ongoing. I'll have to give you an update at a later time. You know, the idea is that, you know, again, we have a very sort of rigid salary and they have a word for it they use, I forget, scale structure in the public service that, you know, it puts the public service at a disadvantage when you're competing with the private sector for professionals. And so the idea was to look at the you know, the salaries, what is being paid in the public sector, and how we can improve it so we can attract more individuals. That is underway. I'll undertake to give you an update on it at a later time.
Here's my last question.
No problem.
I know you're able to talk about this. When we spoke to Adam Stewart of Sanders, and he said they're making great progress regarding the $30 million tax situation. Can you concur that there has been progress, and will we see some?
We continue to talk, and so that's progress. You know, we continue to meet, and you know, I recently had a meeting with Mr. Stewart and his team, and I reiterated to them that they're a valued investor in the country, and what we want to see is them succeed and expand. So any of those sort of issues that we have, the best way to solve them is to sit down and talk about it, which we continue to do.
Last question from me. What is your ministry's take on government saving bonds, and is that a good opportunity for me?
Oh, it's a fantastic opportunity. I wanted to be there at the press conference with the governor. Unfortunately, I had a competing event. But, you know, it really arose out of discussions that he and I had some years ago about the fact that, and I think it really started when, you remember when one of the banks put up a flyer on their door saying from now on, you'll get zero on your savings account. And I think that created a big, and I'm not going to call the name of the bank, but there was this bank put up this, from now on, interest on saving is zero. And it created a big, you know, a big furor because, you know, you're getting zero basically in the bank. And so, and then it also, we were looking at ways to provide a means where Bahamians can save money. And so the idea is, and they do it, you know, they've done it. And again, another consideration was we were coming out of COVID-19. And so the idea was to create an instrument where individuals who wanted to put some money aside could put some money aside and earn something on it, instead of, you know, putting your money in the bank and getting zero on your savings and like just about zero on your fixed deposit. And so this is an idea to firstly give Bahamians an opportunity to have an instrument where they can save money, and also provide another, it's another form of investment. So we think it's fantastic. We support them 100%. We encourage Bahamians to get involved in it. It's safe, and it gives an opportunity to earn some money on your money. So it's been a long time in that they've been working on, getting all the mechanics together, and so we're very happy that we're at this point where they can launch it, and we encourage it and endorse it wholeheartedly. All right. Okay, folks. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are people in the Inland Revenue Department being a bit too hasty with regard to these auctions of these properties?
No, not at all. Not at all, not at all, not at all. I say all the time, when you see this happen, this is not the first resort. This is the last resort. And many of those things that you see published, I can say all of them are a combination of people ignoring the department, people telling the department where they can go, people refusing to acknowledge their obligation, people, this is the absolute last resort. These are people who have, and corporations who have outstandings for years and years and years. And when I tell you 10 and 20 years, years. So it's not hasty, not at all. And you see, it took so long to get to this point. And we're dealing, and let's say to the public, we're dealing in most cases with foreign-owned properties and commercial properties where people have just not responded. It's not 1 year or 2 years. We're talking 10, 20, sometimes 30 years. And so it's a situation where we've written, we've called, we've met, we've sent letters. This is the last resort. So not too hasty. So no, not at all. It's a long time coming to this situation. And even now, we have people complaining that, you published 100 properties and you've only sold 3. That because even at this stage, when you advertise and people come in, the department is prepared to work with them to regularize their situation. So under our direction and guidance, they've undertaken a tremendous forbearance in that area, to the point that you have many people who are upset that you don't just outright sell. But that's not the intention of the government. The government wants to collect the revenue that's due to it. And so this is, no, not at all too hasty, not at all. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, how much is left? What is outstanding to be collected in the property tax? Are you able to give us?
No. No, they still collect, and that goes seasonally, because most of that is collected like towards the end of the year and into the new year. And again, as I said, when I first started, we're still collecting, the Treasury is still collating all the numbers on what has transpired so far for the first quarter. Okay? Listen, thank you very much. It's been a great audience.
Thank you very much, Minister Halkitis. I don't know if there are any further questions. We've been here for a while. Ariel?
If you could get the response regarding the Port Authority suspending the review of the regulations, if we can get the Prime Minister's response on that.
Well, IRCA is the authority that governs in the power generation space, whether it's rules, fees, certainly any increases. That's been made very clear. It's backed by legislation, and that is the government's position on that. Any further questions? No? All right. Thank you very much. And please, before we go, we are very happy to sample this, what was it, soursop and eggnog and all these creative flavors here by Donkey Kong. So please feel free. And thank you, everyone. Good afternoon.